gentlemen, welcome back to Tech Showdown. My name is Kevin, this is my co-host Teddy, and today we're checking out the Corsair Strafe RGB mechanical keyboard, and this one is featuring the new switch, the Cherry MX silent switch, so that is quite interesting also. Now let's start out first then with the design. So I tested the Strafe before, and of course I've tested the K70. So it's the same low profile black plastic design that you'll find on the other Strafe, which I thought was, it's a bit bland, but it's pretty, standard and nice. I think it's pretty good for the most part. It's definitely color neutral, which is what you're always going to want if you're buying an RGB keyboard. Now it has flaps on the back like normal, which you'll probably want to use because the standard sort of tilt on it is a little bit, I'd just say it's a little bit too flat for me. So I'd like to prop it up a little bit, so that's quite nice. It also has a USB 3.0 pass-through at the top there, which is another good thing. I don't particularly use it that often, but there are people out there that do, so it's good for those people out there that want to use it. Now, the normal Strafe didn't come with a wrist rest, which a lot of people didn't like because the K70 did. However, it is back on this one, and I'm pretty sure it's the exact same one as what you get on the K70, so that's quite good. And in terms of build quality, I mean, it is plastic fantastic, but it seems pretty, sturdy for the most part. I think this will last you quite well. It doesn't have a braided cable, it's just rubber, but that's okay. And I think this will actually do you really well in terms of standing up over time. Now, key switch wise, as I talked about before, it has the Cherry MX silent switch, which is basically a quieter red switch. That would be the easiest way to put it. So that's quite cool. It's also coming with the more standard switches, the red, the brown, and the Cherry MX blue switch. Now this Cherry MX silent to type on just feels like a red. Honestly, it's got the same stiffness and it feels very similar. You just notice that it is a bit quieter there, although, compared to a blue or a green switch, for example, the reds were already pretty silent. So, but I guess if you want even more quietness, then the Cherry MX silent will do that for you. Now the keycaps themselves feel really good. There's interchangeable ones over on the WASD keys if you're playing a lot of FPS games, and there's also interchangeable ones on Q, W, E, R, and F, D, and F, I think. So that's quite cool as well for those of you playing MOBA games. So I quite like that. The layout aside is pretty standard. Everything pretty much where you normally find it. On the top right hand corner you have a brightness switch and also a Windows key lock, which is quite nice. But aside from that, yeah, just standard the whole way around. And I really like this to type on. As you guys probably know by now, I've said it so many times, I have really bad wrists. I actually have to take sort of like anti-inflammatories sometimes for them because they really get up. I get really bad. Tendinitis is a hell of a thing. But this guy was really good with the wrist rest on. Felt really, really nice to type on. Really comfortable. And it just like the other Strafe I tested, it is quite a comfortable, nice keyboard to type on. Now, lighting wise. So this is coming with RGB lighting, which is the main difference it has from the normal Strafe. It looks really, really good. What they've done here is they've put a white back plate behind the keys on it, which is really good because on the Strafe it had a red one, which made the lighting look, I mean, it only had red lighting to begin with, but it just I wasn't a fan. It made it look not very good at all. However, this looks really nice. It gives the colors a heap of pop. It looks really, really solid in low light conditions. Like, wow, does this keyboard stand out? And the color accuracy is fantastic. And as always, it's fully programmable and has a whole bunch of cool different lighting modes for, I mean, most of us probably won't use these in day-to-day use, but you might, and they're still quite cool to check out. So there's a spiral rainbow, rainbow wave, visor, rain, color shift, which I've had it on while I've been doing this review, color pulse, color wave, and some lighting ones when you type, such as ones for the keys, and of course good old ripple. So this does a really good job. The lighting is way better than a standard strafe, and that's not just because of the RGB, it's just the way they've executed it is much better. It's still got these lights on the side as well, which are, I don't know, they're okay. I'm not the hugest fan of it. I think it's better just to have it straight on the top, but they're there as well, so that's quite cool. And compared to the K70 RGB, I'd say this one is slightly better in terms of lighting. It just has that little bit extra. So yeah, lighting wise it does absolutely fantastic. Now features wise, it's coming with Corsair's Q software, which has finally been improved. Oh my goodness, has this been the worst software I'd used for years now. It was a shocker before, and it was just way too complicated. So they've simplified it a lot now. It's still got a lot of the complication there, which I don't really like, but at least for the basic stuff it's much more simple, and so for the average user you'll be able to use it to get everything exactly where you want it and hopefully never touched again, because it's still not that good. However, it's one redeeming factor it's had since the start is that it has the most amount of customization. You could do whatever you want in that software. It's just so complicated to be able to do it. Which brings us now to the conclusion. So it has, good features, good, key switches, Cherry MX, the best, as I've said so many times, and, good variation. You can pick through quite a few if you want. Fantastic lighting, and, averagey, improved software, we'll put it that way. So what is the main detractor then from this Corsair Strafe RGB? And that is exactly the same as what I said on the other strafe, is the price. It is just too high. This is so expensive. It's 350 New Zealand dollars currently at Playtech. That is just way too high. I'm not a big fan of that, considering that the K70 RGB is slightly cheaper at the moment, and I think the K70, although it might not have as nice lighting, it's got much better materials, made out of metal, and to me it just seems like the better keyboard. So I find the Strafe a weird keyboard, I'll put it that way. I don't understand why Corsair felt like they needed this. The K70 RGB is already a great keyboard that pretty much does everything this does, except be made out of slightly better materials, and because it's came out a little while ago now, it's a bit cheaper. So I find the Corsair Strafe to be a good keyboard, but it doesn't have anywhere to sit in the market. So honestly, you could easily overlook this guy and just go for the K70 RGB if you're really wanting an RGB keyboard. But even then, the K70 RGB is a lot of money, so these are definitely premium keyboards, and definitely shop around and look, because you can definitely, you'll find something else if you look hard enough that'll be a bit cheaper. And if you don't want RGB, for sure stay away, because you can definitely get something much better featuring Cherry MX key switches from Ducky for a fraction of the cost of a keyboard like this. Now, I thank you all for watching this video. Please subscribe to Tech Showdown if you haven't already, and like the video. And as always, I'll see you guys next time.